What's up, and welcome into Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Thanks so much for downloading the podcast and checking this out. Wherever you listen to the podcast on Spotify, Apple, wherever you are, but YouTube, we are blowing up because of you. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. I'm thankful to you because you're checking out Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. We got so much to offer, including merchandise. You know, it's getting chilly, downright cold, so that's why we've got ourselves the Under the Hood hoodie right there. We've got t-shirts. We've got mugs and tumblers. Check it out. It's in the description of our bio. Check out that link tree, and just it costs you nothing to look. I think it'd be a great stocking stuffer for the ones that you love. The Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood podcast merchandise available right now. Check out the link. It is Fly Eagles Fly against Bear Down, a battle of two 8-3 teams, and we cannot wait for the Black Friday game that we're going to see. It's the only game in the NFL, and this will tell a great story about both sides with the Eagles and the Bears. And to talk to us about it from that David show, it is Ken Davis with us right here. Check him out on YouTube and make sure you subscribe as we have our conversation about the Bears. Ken Davis, as always, I appreciate the time. Thanks for coming on the show.
Hey, Hoodie man, how are you doing? Thanks for having me on.
You know how I'm doing. I feel like 8-3 today. I feel like 8-3. That's how I feel.
You look like it. You look great.
It's like I've had my share of losses, but I feel more like a winner, like the Chicago Bears at 8-3. This matchup is going to be interesting. But before we get there, I want to get your thoughts about the game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. The ebb and flow of that game. What'd you think of how the Bears were able to once again come out on top?
I think that most of us going into that game, the thought was the Steelers were going to go heavy run with the fact that we found out the linebackers weren't going to be there, and the Steelers did. But you saw how Dennis Allen adjusted, and I think that's the thing that when you're early on in the program, you want to know how well the program can adapt, but also is it something that's a hindrance? It's like, oh, well, they're going to be one of those teams where, this is the game plan, and if it doesn't work, well, we're shot, right? And on top of that, you're adjusting with having a limited amount of players. So that I thought I enjoyed that. I enjoy what the subs did, and it's not to make it seem like they were world beaters, but they were prepared. Like just reading some of the articles and looking at some of the comments, like Tyson Bay just said, that past regimes didn't necessarily have the backups ready to go like they were prepared to go. Looking at someone like Ozzie Chapillo, and not to say that he's going to be a world beater, but he didn't get his ass kicked by one of the formidable front lines in the NFL. And I mean, not when we say formidable front lines, and this isn't Chuck Noll Steelers or anything like that, but we always know, and I know Steeler fans can be frustrated, and sometimes you do need a divorce from a coach and an organization once you've been there for a long time, speaking of Mike Tomlin. But there's a floor that he never allows them to fall through. And when you look at it, the style of football and the style of play, and it's going to be a rough game. They were definitely swapping some paint during that game this past Sunday. Like some of the hits, it was definitely some old school football. I think really, Hood, what made me feel the best, one, the strip sack and getting tossed like a rag doll was like, what the hell are you doing, Caleb?
Yeah.
But Caleb performing in structure and getting rid of the ball outside of that situation, that felt really good as someone who roots for the Bears, because that's really where the question's at with him. Now we know, okay, that stuff that you did at college, you can do that in the pros. We know that, right? It's not too fast for you. The players aren't too big. You can accomplish your little Superman stuff, right? But can you, through structure, see guys open? And one of the things that I was saying that to Alex on the Win City pod was, he's afraid to throw the ball because he doesn't want to turn the ball over, and he was seeing players open. He was throwing anticipatory balls before players turned around in their breaks. That's what you have to do. You have to trust. Sometimes it's going to go the other way. Sometimes either the guy's not going to get it or maybe a defender breaks on it, but you can't wait to see a player open. Most of the time, those quarterbacks aren't the best quarterbacks. There's a ceiling that they can get to. They can be like in the top 6. Maybe they'll have a year where they're in the top 3, but consistently they'll never be in the top 3 consistently, because you have to develop that. And to see him do that and then just get rid of the ball. Hey, live to fight another day. You do not have to try to hit a home run all the time. That felt good. That was one of the best feelings coming out of Sunday's victory. That Caleb showed some progress that he did against the Steelers' formidable front seven.
You can never turn a blind eye to 3 touchdowns, that's for sure, and it's within the numbers too, that's the thing, and I know that every game has its own personality, and we've seen that with the Bears. They've done it so many different ways. A couple weeks ago, it was with the tight ends. This time, he was really locked in on DJ Moore, Odunze as well. He had 9 targets. He just didn't get in the end zone. But I just like that there is a level of moxie and effort from Caleb Williams that realizes, yeah, I effed up. Yeah, I gave up that touchdown to Watt, and no shade. I mean, Watt's a terrific player, but you just can't give up that particular play. But he just kept it going because last year, maybe he goes into a cocoon. Maybe he's in the shell. But I like that he just keeps going and realizes that I got to just continue to keep this offense at a certain level. And I think he did that for the most part against the Steelers.
In 2 words, and I know this had to sing in your heart, free play. And
Oh, yeah,
like
free
it makes
play.
me so angry being an old curmudgeon where a defender is offsides and the quarterback does nothing. And it's like, dude, you had throw that rock and see what you can do. And one of them, it was an interception, but it was a free play. And another one, you scored a TD. Like that to me, like now it's like, yes, I know that the delay of game, like, so there's are still some things where, hey, come on now. And Ben Johnson can help with that situation. But that you had that. But the free plays is like, I like that. I can see the gamer in you because I don't feel like a lot of young quarterbacks take advantage of free plays like quarterbacks in the 90s and the years before used to.
Aaron Rodgers has built a Hall of Fame career off the free play.
Yep, that's exactly where I was leaning. Like, and that's who I was saying this with Alex. It's funny because he reminds me that off the ground throw on the run is so much A-Rod. And it was funny, Alex said that. He was like, it's also the free plays. Like when you brought that up, the free play. And regardless of Bears fans, and regardless of how quacky he can be,
yeah,
he was physically the best quarterback for an era in football. Like he's on the list of some of the best to ever do it, regardless of what you feel, and not just his head game, but as far as how well he is as an athlete can be combined with that, and so to see that, it reminded me also when you say that of Aaron Rodgers.
We're presented by Triller TV for the best in combat sports, pro wrestling, karate, MMA. It's all there. TrillerTV.com or download the app Triller TV. They are supportive of our podcast. We want you to be supportive of them. Triller TV, the app, or TrillerTV.com. The offensive line I want to talk to you about. It's funny, we were just talking about Ozzy Trapillo. So one of the questions we had in the summer is, could Ozzy Trapillo play on the left side or the right side? Only problem with the right side is that Darnell Wright's a hell of a player. Whether he's got a splint or not, he's actually playing good football, especially as of late. But Ozzy Trapillo, man, on that left side, because of the injury situation with the Bears, they said, you're going to play the left side. And Ozzy said, okay. And you heard nothing, which is great for an offensive lineman. Ken, I was so happy for him because now that question comes up. Hey, man, in the offseason, if we work with you, could you play the left side? Could you explain to the listeners and viewers about maybe the mental hurdles that Trapillo could be going through at training camp, in practice, and where he is now? The difference between being on the left side or right side as far as hand placement, footwork. What's the difference between the two?
Well, one, on the left side, usually you're going to go against the best pass rusher, right? Because, of course, most quarterbacks are right-handed, so that's their blind side. Nowadays, they flip them more, but then back in the days, like, Reggie would move around, but Reggie would also come in, Reggie White. Reggie would also come in and play tackle. So sometimes they're moving around, but it's your get off. Like, some people say it's not a big deal, but it's just like a dance move. Like, for instance, if let's just hypothetically say we're doing the merengue and whatever, but I lead and you follow, but I want you to lead. The rhythm's going to be off for both of us because I'm used to leading and you're used to following. So when you're talking about playing it on different sides from your steps and your get back, that's different. Let alone it'll be different if you played both positions for long periods of time. But if you really just played the right and now they're asking you to do all that stuff in the mirror of the opposite way, that's difficult. And just speaking to Ozzy Trapillo, coming to another level where you've never seen athletes like this. Like, You never seen guys get off the ball in the manner they're getting off the ball. You never seen the defensive schemes that you're seeing. So it's not just the simple fact that the guy that's across from you, it's maybe another guy's coming and you don't know, wait, am I supposed to disengage? I'm supposed to, like, there's a lot to come at a young person where you're moving from one side of the ball on a different level. So that's a lot. And that's in training camp and in the preseason. But it's funny because some things are better when, like they used to have a thing, just throw the kid into the lake or the pool and, see if they can swim or whatever. Not telling anybody to do that. That's not what I'm saying here.
No,
right?
Please.
Just talking about back like babies. I could actually remember my grandmother taking me to the Y as one of my earliest memories and being able to float. I do have that memory in my brain that I was able to float in the water without her holding me or whatever, right? Because babies have that and then they forget about it, basically. Most babies, because I don't want anybody to get us in trouble and do anything stupid out there or whatever. But the point being, and what I'm trying to allude to is, look at that. The fact that of course, they probably wanted him to play left tackle. Let's be honest. That's the goal of drafting him in the second round. You're not going to draft a player in the second round when you already, and this is two different regimes, because I think we all believe Ben Johnson has the heaviest stick in the situation between him and Ryan Poles, but they have Darnell Wright. And at this point, it doesn't seem like he's going to move, even though that's a discussion for another day. But you have him, and you draft a guy that's played that, you're probably looking at him to be on the opposite side, but that's asking a lot. But your point of you didn't hear anything. And listen, Theo Benedict has played well, but really it's the flip of the two, to where passing, and you look at Ozzie being as large and tall as what he is, you worried about guys with Ben, but really it's more of concern of him maybe getting out on some of those run plays where you may like to use a screen or do something and hit that big man have to get out. Theo Bennett is a mauler and can get out there. But Ozzie showed you that perhaps when we're talking primarily pass plays, he can legit stand up on the left side. And I think the biggest benefit, and we've kind of talked about this in the past, is now, and one thing that's good about the Bears season, usually in the past couple of years, by week 5, we're talking the draft. Like, man, so what do you think? So, right? We don't really have to do that. And when we do it, it's more of an afterthought. But now I think all of us are like, yeah, edge rusher or DT as far as defense. Like, and I mean 3 technique when I say that, or penetrator, whatever you like. A guy can be huge if he can collapse the pocket, whatever. Or left tackle. You may not, and again, I'm not saying they won't, but you may be in a situation to where, even if, let's just say they drafted left tackle next year and he's a project, you may say, you know what, we can get a guy with crazy physical tools in the 3rd round, and like we can stash him because we'll see what Ozzie and Theo can do now, right? I'm not saying that's what they will do, but it gives you that option, because this guy that was thrust into a situation that usually he was prepared for, but you would think he wasn't, was able to actually succeed. And that's the benefit of having him play so well in a stopgap against a team that's known to play well when it comes to the trenches in the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Ken, let's talk about this matchup against the Philadelphia Eagles. Battle of 2 8-3 teams. We got a chance to talk to Cliff Augustin from Spotify and The Ringer, because he's a huge Philadelphia Eagles fan, covers Philadelphia sports, and he said, offensively speaking, there's a lot of issues with the Eagles. And you say, how does that happen 8-3? Well, there's issues as far as internally with Jalen Hurts and his weapons, and also with Nick Sirianni. But I want to talk to you about what the Bears can do to exploit the Eagles on the road. So the last game we saw against the Steelers, this was not about the running game. It wasn't even about Caleb Williams. I want to talk to you about that aspect of the Bears, because I'm wondering whether or not defensive coordinators are starting to key in on Caleb Williams and kind of keep him, not only just spinning out of the pocket, but for him to run for first downs as much or getting a lot of yardage. And then from there, looking at Monangai and Swift, it was good. It was not great as far as the running game is concerned, because the ball was in the air a lot. I'm just wondering whether or not that strong defensive front of the Eagles, whether or not the Bears can exploit that with the running game.
Listen,
it's tough.
Lurie, look what they do. Like, the fact that they have redid that defense, and when you really think about who was there a few years ago and who's there now, and that they wreck shop. They have, even now with the new tandem, they have usually the best defensive tackles. And like, again, I brought up Reggie White earlier. They historically kind of do this, where they had these crazy talented defensive lines. You look at what Dean, and I see the hat behind you. You look at what Dean is doing, flying all around. Like in Iowa, you got Cooper playing the nickel, playing with. And you think about a few years ago, that was like one of the issues where corner, and they needed that. And then they make trades, and then they draft. I mean, they're the best put together organization. And I mean this from, they don't win all the time. But when you talk about how they've been able to flip Super Bowl teams in a short period of time, it's remarkable. Player pro and drafting it's remarkable. I don't know, and this is the thing where the Bears are playing these Pennsylvania teams who are deep in the trenches, and something that you kind of said. Get back to this. Ben Johnson said that it takes running backs a long period of time, a year, to learn what to do in this system. But now people know what they do well that you're using mostly, because I think in that we think that they are all caught up with every wrinkle that he has, and clearly they wouldn't be. Clearly now he's going to parse down what we're doing and focus on what we do well for victories, right? So now those elements, teams are keying in on that. And then what you said, what it takes away is, it takes away from what Caleb can do, because now the running game isn't being as effective, which can at times affect the play action. I don't think it's hindered them as much with the play action, because Ben Johnson won't abandon the run in some ways like other teams would. But it's going to be hard to like beat this team offensively. Like this is going to be another game where, one, you would hope some of these defenders come back that the Bears have. Like, I don't know if Edwards is going to be able to come back. I don't know if you want to rush Jalen, because that's kind of what bit you in the butt at the beginning of the year, perhaps rushing him. But you need some help, because you have physically maybe the best running back in the league, even though he's having a down year, in Saquon Barkley. And I mean, I always say this when anybody that's plays sports, you may be looking at this game as like, yeah, I'm going to try to get my numbers right against this team, because the Bears aren't a terrible run defense team, but they're not the most stout. They're much more situational, and we've seen it. Go ahead.
So you're saying the Bears can't run the football against the Eagles? Is that what you're telling me?
I think there will be times. I think the Bears are good enough to where they get gashes. Now, the gashes aren't 30, 40 yards, but they, against stout run teams, can get a 18-yard, can get a 10, can get another. Like, they can do that. So I believe there will be opportunities to do that. But it depends on how successful Caleb is to perhaps move the safeties back to allow them to do that. But the thing is this too, you don't have to really have the safeties up with how crazy their DTs are playing. Like, these guys are flying, man. Like, watching that last game against Dallas, if you only watched the first half, you turned it off and you were like, well, the Dallas doesn't have a chance because it's like 21-7. And I'm sure they, like, I had AJ Brown on the bench. AJ Brown told me to bench him, J Hood. I had AJ Brown I had him on the bench because how bad the season has been on my fantasy team, and he had 27 points, even though I did score over 200 points, so it didn't hurt me as much as it could have. Sure. But points still being that offense limitations is the best part that have probably helped the Bears. The ability for the Bears to get turnovers, and one of the things that we were talking about, and you were kind of implying this the last time, was could Nahshon Wright perhaps get on a Pro Bowl team or something. And if we're going by Dallas standards of takeaways, there's a good chance, as far as you may not be able to do everything, but can you get enough you get to 7-8 takeaways. That's people are just looking at the stats. They haven't faced everybody. They're just marking the marks or whatever. I do think, to get all the way back to your question, I think the run can still be used to benefit the offense. I don't necessarily think they're going to get crazy on them. And anybody can have, even when you look at Gainwell's numbers, he got 55 yards on one play. So if you just looked at the box set, you thought, oh man, he ran for 100. And then that's not to say that, I mean, the running was good in the first half. And then of course the Bears made adjustments with knowing the limitations of Mason Rudolph. But I think it's sustainable to help the offense. I don't know how great they're going to be when we look at the box numbers, because this is one of the best defensive teams within the NFL.
Well, this is one of the few times I think that the Bears went through the okie doke, because I don't remember the Bears getting shook on a fake tush push all the way to the yardage that they gave up. I mean, that was horrible, as you just laid out, that big number. But I am concerned still about the defense. I have been every time that we talk about the trenches. I'm very happy for Montez Sweat because now he's getting to the quarterback. He's getting those pressures. He almost had 3, but he had 2 in this game against the Steelers. And so hopefully that opens up for Javon Dexter or someone else to be able to come through. I just want to get your thoughts about the defensive line because if Sweat's getting the job done, maybe others can.
You know, first of all, shout out to Montez Sweat because we take shots
Yeah.
at him. We got to give him his props.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that Dexter, I think common sense, a lot of us, I think his second year, a lot of us was kind of like, you're asking a lot of this kid because one coming in, because I remember we talked to his defensive line coach. I think he was also the assistant head coach out of Florida when we had a line conversation on Under Center with him that was really good. But it was talking about the stuff he had to unlearn with the style of play that they did. Kind of like how they talk about like DBs or cornerbacks and how some of them are good with like the mirror technique, but it's very difficult and a lot of them really can't do it. But they played a different form of what they were asking Dexter to do. So when this Dexter's second year and they was like, you're the starter, it's like he probably should be more rotational than you putting everything on him. I get that you're going to give him the starters minutes, but you needed more help is kind of what I'm saying. I think we're to the point now, and I'm not trying to cap him, but you kind of know what he is. And the reason I'm saying that is he's one of the players that you would look for to do more in the run game. And I'm a jump off of him to this point. I've been a huge Andrew Billings guy since the Bears got him. Yeah. I felt like his first year they didn't use him enough because they advertised him as a run stopper, but he was collapsing the pocket also. And you didn't have players, so you should have been using him more. But with injury and health, he doesn't look the same. Like he and it's not I'm not dissing him. I think he's just longer in the tooth now, but he doesn't look the same. So, and I'm saying this to get to, and with injuries, they just don't have enough. And again, they've been pulling off victories, but I'm trying to be rational in this. Is kind of what I'm saying. Like with what they have, they're getting a lot out of what they have. Is what I'm trying to get to, and they've been able to get by with it. And you do have, and you to your point, you need your quote unquote all-star in Montez Sweat to be a force multiplier every game, because the other guys, either through what they can do or what they can't do, they need somebody like him to get a lot of attention and to wreck shop to allow them to get singled up. But then they have to do what they have to do if they're singled up or if there is a missed assignment and they can exploit somebody. I don't know and I don't see it, but they've been able to do stuff that I haven't expected. But this is that I think that's really something in the offseason that has to be really addressed. Like, you're going to have to not just say, all right, we brought in Shamar Turner. We have Dominic Robinson. You're going to have to be serious about, you know what, we really have to do kind of what we did with this offensive line, with this defensive line. And it doesn't take you. If you get 2 nice dudes on there, then everybody else kind of falls into place to a degree, but they got a lot of questions, and I think that they may be exploited going this Black Friday in Philadelphia with some of the questions that defensive line has. Because let's be honest with you, this is going to be a featured Saquon Barkley is going to be featured. Jalen Hurts doesn't run as much this year, but he's definitely going to get some runs because they're going to know how the Bears have been exploited with gap integrity with mobile quarterbacks, particularly if they're not able to do a lot. It's going to force him to have to do something. This is the biggest test that they face this season. Even with the Eagles' offense, as you just pointed out, not playing well. Even with, I'm a Tide fan. Listen, when Jalen got to Oklahoma, you saw, Lincoln Riley really helped him out and negated some of the things that, as a Tide fan, was frustrating. But those things are really still here in some fashions when you're talking about deep ball total accuracy. I feel like moonshots he's good with, but if we're talking about perhaps layering, that's maybe a different thing with him. So his limitations are frustrating AJ Brown. They have a terrific wide receiver tandem.
They do.
With Devontae Smith, Rotad, and AJ Brown. The tandem is formidable, but their quarterback, and also he has a reluctance to turn the ball over. So it's one of those things where he doesn't want, because he views it as people will held that against him. So he's not a gambler, but that can benefit the Bears in a way, even though the Bears have lived off the turnovers, but it can benefit them because he may not go down the field at times where he should exploit the fact that the Bears have some limitations when it comes to the injuries in their defensive backfield.
I'd like to be able to give you your props as an Alabama fan. I'll give you your props because that's where your family's from. So I understand that there are some in the market that just jumped on when Saban started winning championships. We have a few of those in the market. So I respect you because that's part of your lineage, you see.
Yes. My dad would tell me stories about Bear Bryant.
Yes.
And about and it's still, I don't know if it was he was trying to do good or he was just trying to get good. Because like when he used to tell me, so he was like, well, he played some black players and then they whooped on him and he went and told, the front, the chancellor's like, I need some of those too, right? And so I don't know if it was for the purpose of benefit of us or if it was selfishly to remain as one of the top head coaches in football. But that was my childhood in those discussions. So we had a lot of discussions about Auburn and of course Roll Tide all day. I wasn't taught to hate Auburn either, just so you know.
Oh, I understand. I think that there's a lot of Branch Rickey and a lot of those guys back then to see the value of the black player. Rather win with them than be against them. So I think that was a lot of that as well.
So I live by one of Branch Rickey's great things. Get rid of him early. It's better to get rid of him early than it is to get rid of him late, as I paraphrase that. But yes, as you pointed out, Branch Rickey, the general manager of the Dodgers that brought Jackie Robinson into the pros, just in case you didn't know.
I totally understand that. So I would say that, from my standpoint, Ken, with this game coming up against Philadelphia, so I mean, it to me, there's several things that stood out. One, shout out to the draft class for Ryan Poles, because there was guys that's through that draft class up and down that were able to contribute to this. Names I didn't know that we get, also dudes that with the green dot that said, "Hello, are you talking to me?" Yes, coach. Oh, am I supposed to? Yes, you're calling out the plays. Brother Jackson was in there like, "Hello." Someone's talking to me in this helmet. Yes, sir. You're going to have to call the plays. Oh, shit. Okay. Well, guys, this is what coach said. I mean, it surprised Jackson. He had to do that, man. Just so it was just a lot of things, a lot of moving parts against a veteran Steelers team that helped the Bears win. And so, but the draft class is part of that. And then just Obongbemiga and like Jackson, just these guys like, man, that's when let's put this in a box. This is coaching. This is players buying in, and this is players winning. This is the prime example. You want to do a dictionary.com definition of this. This is when all things come together against the Steelers, where you better listen, understand the film, execute, win. That's what we saw on Sunday against the Steelers.
Yeah, and that, again, I think the point that you're making is Bears fans should feel good about that. It seems like, and we have to wait, it seems like they have the right person to lead them moving forward.
Yeah.
From what you see with what they did with backups. And as you pointed out on that one play where you had Ozzie out there, Jonah Jackson got hurt, so you had Luke Newman out there. Yeah. You had Rutgers great and Cal Monunga out there. You had Luther Burden out there. All these guys from this draft class up and down the board, not just your two guys in the second round. No, up and down. Oh, and Colston Loveland, I forgot to mention, right?
Yeah.
And your first rounder in Colston Loveland, and you're benefiting them. And I know a lot of people were like, well, why isn't Burden in there early? Because there's still some hiccups. So again, yes, Zacchaeus will drop the ball, but Zacchaeus knows where he needs to be at all times, where still Burden is learning. So you can't just be like, well, you're drafting him in the second round, he has to play. Well, fortunate enough, they have professionals. And even though he is more explosive than that professional, you still need to make sure, particularly a team that's been turnover or penalty prone that the Bears have been this year, that you have to make sure that you limit that by having players out there that may not know exactly where they need to be at all times, but to see those guys and being forced into action and what they've done lets you know how this regime, and even some of it with the general manager, because when you're talking about Bunkaminga, I'm going to butcher his name, but
Amen.
Thank you. Amen. Yeah. But remember, like, Amen showed flashes last year. you know, where it was like, oh, he was pressed. Okay, like there were guys where you were like, they had depth guys. And I will give props when you have that. Now you need to hit on the front guys, but I'll give you props. But yeah, that shows that Ben Johnson, and again, I've been a huge Ben Johnson guy. I believe he's the person. I've been big on he was the guy that the Bears should bring in, and he makes me seem like I know what I'm talking about.
By the way, I'm just going to take your black card from you because you cannot pronounce the name Obongbemiga. You can't be doing that. You got to be better than that. So I
can pronounce it. I can't. Obongbemiga.
Sorry. Next time.
Wait, how is that my black card though? And mind you, I grew up around hella Africans. All right, but that's still not fair that you're taking my black card. All right, hella
right here.
Generation. I got so many Nigerians and Ghanaian friends growing up. Like,
yeah.
Okay, I know the Olas and the Tundes and the Boomies and the Coyote. I know them all. All right.
All right. You know them all of them. You said you know them all. Yeah. Okay. Well, this is where your card will be. You will get this at another time. As soon as you can be better, Ken, be better. Obongbemiga.
Okay. I'll practice.
Yes, you're in the drawer when you get better.
Obongbemiga. Damn it.
We're presented by Triller TV, folks. They love our African talk. Triller TV. Go to the App Store and get yourself Triller TV, best in pro wrestling and combat sports and everything else in between. Triller TV. Go to the app and subscribe. So there you have that. Sorry, but you'll get it back. Don't worry, bro. Don't worry about it. But I'll keep it right here for safekeeping. Thank you. We will move on now. Sorry, man. It's too late.
I'll stop. All right.
Too late. So the Chicago Bears can beat the Philadelphia Eagles if
they can beat them if they stop Saquon Barkley.
Saquon Barkley can 6 yards a carry last year, now at 3.7.
Yeah, and the problem is if the Bears were, let's just say, and they weren't, again, the most stout, but after the bye, they got better. If Tremaine Edmonds was out there and they had all their linebackers, I'd be down with you, let alone if they had Kyler Gordon, what he can do off the nickel. And Jalen, I would think that. But I think knowing that the Bears can be taking advantage in the run game, that you're going to look at, you know what, and this is a short week too. You're going to look at let's exploit what we have in one of the better running backs. And even with Lane having the foot injuries, I seen him leave that game. You're still going to be pressed to simplify the game, I would think. I mean, particularly where, and I'm not going to say they're going to be scared to throw on the Bears, but you have to know that the Bears have ball hawks out there, and you may be setting yourself up, even though one of those ball hawks in offside, weak side linebacker, Tremaine Edmonds isn't going to be healthy since he's on the IR.
I guess because we're football guys, I don't look at this game as bigger than the other ones because I look at it with perspective. My perspective is that the Bears came off of being a terrible football team, losing 10 games in a row. And I had no expectations of what this team would be like under a first-year head coach. I'm just being fair. Like you could change the roster, you could change the head coach, you could change the message at House Hall. I had no idea what this would look like. I had no idea the Bears beat 8-3. We saw the schedule when it came out, and we said, man, it looks daunting right in the middle. We circled it, right? We looked at that schedule, and we said, there's going to be some tough matchups for the Bears, especially when they have so many new moving parts. We looked at middle of the schedule, right? So it was after the bye week. You try to figure out, can you beat Washington? That was number one because you want to get your lick back. Against Baltimore, against Cincinnati, that's also was very big. And then from there, taking on Minnesota and then the Steelers, and now Philadelphia and that Green Bay twice into the Browns game. So that middle of the schedule, we thought this is going to be daunting, but the Bears will be able to master it a lot. So I don't have any like major expectations outside of is that I want the Bears to just continue to grow, whether they win or lose against the Eagles coming up on Friday. I don't look at this like, oh, it's a big game because this will prove that the Bears are 8-3. It is no proving ground. It's just that, hey, on the road, big spot, what are you going to do? That's how I look at it. You lose the game, you move on to Green Bay. Beat Green Bay. If you can't beat Green Bay, you got to beat Cleveland, and like it just keeps going this way. But you have such the lead with eight wins under your belt that again you have to clearly define who you are by each game.
I think, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you're saying that perhaps the context is going to what matters the most. So against the second best team in the NFC, I would say if the Rams are above them,
sure.
and that it helps that they have one of the wildest armed quarterbacks to ever play football in Matthew Stafford.
Yeah.
And their defense with Aaron Donald retiring is playing at this phenomenal rate with, again, when you're talking about drafting properly. But if you don't get decimated, by the Eagles, it's not to say that the Bears can't beat it wouldn't surprise us if the Bears beat the Eagles. That wouldn't. The Bears have had so many thrilling victories, snatching a victory from the jaws of defeat so many times this year. It wouldn't surprise us. But when you're saying a team that was looked at as an odds-on favorite, the only team that had the mention was perhaps the Packers, and I think now people are realizing they're not where everyone expected them prior to the season commencing, and of course making that trade for Michael Pearson. No, I mean I've waxed poetic about the roster that the Eagles have. So, and that's where you want to go. But speaking of context, let's just say if the Bears lost terribly, I think what we'd be looking for is how they would bounce back facing the Pack. And even knowing that the Packers have more talent than them and are further along, how that game played out and how would the coaching staff manner if they went through a losing streak. Like that's kind of because now, and I know it's going to piss some people off, this is kind of just more roses now because they're ahead of schedule. You don't want them to just burn out the rest of the season, just be like, it doesn't matter. That's not what we're saying. Mm-hmm. And that'd be an indictment on the staff. But yeah, I'm with you. This isn't, man, if they lose, no, like this, it seems like everything is trending. And I'm just trying to be cautiously optimistic, right?
Sure.
If you are crazy, you being crazy optimistic, and I know being Bears fans or Chicago fans, you should always be cautious. But if you being crazy, there's more foundation to say that you're probably right here than not. The only thing that we would have to really do is just wait and see if it plays out. But most things tells us this is the right coach. This is the right coaches. These players have bought into the program. We have to see how he grows the football. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't think this is the be all end all of the season. It could actually be one of those things where a loss benefits them this season and down the road after riding so high for so long with a lot of these games that they've pulled out.
The Chicago Bears. Big ass C. You see that, Ken? There's a big C on the screen. That's it. That's what we've been talking about right here on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. So lastly, sir, and I'm thankful for you and that we've been able to connect and to be able to talk about the nuts and bolts of football. I'd like to ask you what is the must-have on the table on Thanksgiving?
It's the macaroni.
Really?
She makes such great like macaroni, and I'm a casserole. Like I'm not a box. I haven't been a box macaroni dude since I was a kid. Mm-hmm. The macaroni, her dressing is great, and I fry turkey breast. So usually the day of, we don't eat here. We're gone. So usually we make it the day after, and I just since it's only 4 of us, I just fry a turkey breast or whatever, and I don't have to cook it outside because I almost blew myself up years back doing that.
Wow.
It didn't work, and I just finally told myself, you know what? Maybe this is God telling me to leave it alone because instead of me. But yeah, for me, it's definitely the mac. Because in all fairness, the turkey is next day. Like the turkey's cool the day of, but that's for like the turkey's for my sandwiches. Like that's the best sandwiches is Thanksgiving turkey after or whatever. But yeah, for me, it's macaroni. I see you're disappointed. What say you?
No, I mean it's always the dressing. It always depends on who's making the dressing.
That's the big thing with that.
Yes.
Who's making the dressing?
That's key, man. That comes in clutch. Because it's something that you don't have year round. I could have macaroni and cheese year round, but that stuffing, I don't eat it in March. Yeah. I eat it in July. It's a little heavy.
I get that point. I get that.
But it depends on the and it can't be stuffing. Don't serve it to me as stuffing because that's bullshit. Don't do that. Okay. Do it the way the Lord wanted it. He wanted it as dressing. So Jesus wept, and he also wanted dressing. So that's the way that works. Okay, so it's got to be dressing. So I think that's the main course. Turkey is it doesn't have to be the main course if it's not on. If there's a nice roast, I'll do the roast.
Mhm.
I'll even do barbecue if you want to, but it doesn't have to be. Turkey's fine. I can have turkey anytime I care to, but it doesn't have to be the main course for me.
Okay. I like her aunt makes a great dressing and has gate kept the recipe for the most part, but Afton's cracked it. She's cracked it for the most part. So the dressing has been the bomb like to the last 4 years or whatever as she found too. And I used to love dressing as a kid, and it disappeared. It became stuffing, going to a lot of different people's Thanksgiving or whatever. It wasn't that like, man, when I was a kid, like my dad's people from Bama, they used to have dressing, pull it out the turkey, like. So yes, I can understand that. And you're right, as far as you don't eat that as much as, because you will have casserole macaroni at least once or twice another time throughout the year.
Sure. But I, and again, it doesn't have to be the full plate anymore too. Like this is why we have leftovers, see, Ken, because there's so much football, you see. Right. Here's something that's a quirk in the schedule that snuck up on me. This is what happens when we work mornings. Some things you forget. It is, so on Thanksgiving, we have a doubleheader of college basketball at the United Center. Are you aware of this?
No, I didn't know that.
Do you know that Arkansas plays Duke and Northwestern takes on Oklahoma State? They have games at the United Center on Thanksgiving.
Oh, Calipari versus Shire here at UC.
So that trips me out. So it's like, okay, I got to make time for that, along with the football on Thursday on Thanksgiving. And then Friday, there's just a slew of college basketball games. There's the game that we got to watch with the Bears and the Eagles, and so there's just a lot going on. So this is why leftovers come in handy. On before the Bears game, after the Bears game, there's still more sports to watch. So this is why if we want a turkey sandwich afterwards, we could check it out during the game, after the game. So it's all good. It's just the Thanksgiving meal is what it is, but I live for the leftovers too.
Yeah, that's the best part is we're not eating anything else for the next 3 days. But that turkey sandwich, man. Oh my good. Like that part where you say, like, I can't wait for be like, hey, I can make a good one, but she can make a great sandwich. But that turkey and then just some of that cranberry on that bad man. That's what Thanksgiving is outside of family. That's what Thanksgiving is about for me. All right,
the cranberry on the sandwich. That is Thanksgiving for one Ken Davis.
Yes, it is.
I assume, sir, that you will be working after Black Friday with your post-game show, right?
Yes, Alex. Me and Alex Shapiro on Fansided, the Windy City pod will be with you right after the game to discuss, hopefully, the Bears' victory. But we'll be breaking down, regardless, we're going to break it down. And if it's a loss, we will go through why they lost, but also perhaps some of the sunny parts of, again, they're facing one of the best built teams in the league. And again, I'm not telling you to go in at murky dismal, just telling you to be a realist, because as I've said before, I'm not here to make everything sunshines and lollipops. This is not the type of content that I produce personally. I'm not everything murky, dismal, but I'm not going to be like just blowing like rainbows up your hoo-ha just for the sake of making you feel good. Cause that's just, I think it's BS, to be honest with you.
Well, we're Chicago sports fans. We wouldn't have it any other way, right? I have friends across this country that work in smaller markets where it's like, boy, you guys are tough on said team. And I go, you work in Phoenix. You work in San Diego. You work in Sacramento, at ESPN Sacramento. There's a difference. There's a whole different vibe when you haven't won a lot and then you feel like you're on the precipice of something special. It's like, yeah, it is holding teams accountable, Ken. That's what it is. It's not negative. You ain't murking teams. It's just like you're holding organizations accountable. You're holding players accountable, and it's a major market. It's the way it's supposed to be done. I think in our business, there's a disconnect with some of our fans and thinking that we're supposed to cover our professional sports teams like the school newspaper in high school.
Exactly.
That's bullshit. No. You don't do that.
Right.
You can't allow you. And I know that there's some reporters that like to cover our sports teams as if it's the high school newspaper. But that's not how that works around here. Not in major markets. Not if you are true to yourself as a fan or as a journalist. You can't do that.
Right. And also we have some of the smarter fans. Like some fans do like to be BS'd, but most fans are smart enough. And if you're out there lying, they're gonna call you on it. And it's just, why do it to yourself, to be honest with you? Like, it's no reason. Like, sometimes, like, it used to bother me to go on people's shows and like to see in the comments somebody be like, yeah, you know, Ken's a wet blanket because I'm supposed to come in and make it even though the Bears won or lost, be like, it was all great and all that. And it's like, no, they can get better. And that's what society. Like, I'm actually, put it like this, I know, like that. I'm like that with myself. So if I have a victory, I'm always looking at what could I have done better. All right. Like, that's just how I look at life. So unfortunately, some people get it, some people don't. But the older I get, the less I care.
I think that's the whole key. As you get older, it does not matter. Because you're stuck in your ways, and your ways are your ways. You don't be inflexible, or you don't be flexible for anybody in that spot, right? So I just I always say this, and some get it and some don't when it comes to our fans or about our teams. The things that people will say about holding teams accountable, or, hey, they got to get better at this. This is great, but they get better. This is what coaches are saying to their own players. So if I'm getting that information, say, for instance, I call somebody from the Bears and say, hey, you're 8-3. What do you want to work on? And they tell me, and I put in my own words what they need to do, and people get on me about it. I've already gotten that information from what they say inside the locker room or what they've said in the film room. Like, yeah, Hood, we're good, but you got to watch out for this and watch out for that. Like, I can call any organization in Chicago and ask, hey, man, how do you think you guys are doing? On the outside, it is rainbows and sunshines. But on the inside, it's like, we're good, but we got to work on a few things before we want to get to where we want to be. That's not hating. That's standards.
Facts.
That's it.
Truth.
So I want to say to you and your family, happy Thanksgiving, sir. I appreciate you. I'm glad that we're able to talk football every week, especially when I don't have a million other things to do. I'm glad that I can get you in and talk to you. So
I want to say the same to you. And just for everyone listening or watching this, with everything you said, I also want to give you props because you've always been someone, as I grew up, that I paid attention to. So it's always been good to learn from someone that you think is doing it at an excellent level, and it influenced me. So I always want to give you props because I'm being thankful. I'm thankful the fact that I've gotten to know you as someone that's been in the media. But prior to that, and I say this to, all of you, if I talk to you, Lawrence, or Golf, that I'm always appreciative because, one, you blazed the trail, but you didn't just open the door. You kicked it open and threw like a grappling rings tied to a rope and was like, get your ass up in here, right? And people, we regardless of color, should be thankful. But as a Black man, I'm extremely thankful for you in doing that, and I appreciate you.
Just save me a plate, and thank you.
All right.
Tell her to save me a plate. That's what you do. You want to be thankful, save a brother a plate. That's what you do. Let the reverend in and save him a plate. That's how you do it. Thank you very much, sir. And thank you for watching our nonsense, talking about the Bears, Thanksgiving, and everything else right here on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Hey, we've got so much content on the Bears, college football. Got a chance to talk to Russ Dorsey for the first time ever. Can you imagine that, talking to Russ Dorsey about baseball? And so we got so much. Our young boy, our young cat, Darius Brockett on college football. It's all there. It's all there on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood, presented by Triller TV. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll talk to you soon. So long, everybody.